Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Hong Kong Racing Show, brought to you by Hong Kong Racing North America on X. Give us a follow if you're not already following us there, as we gear up for a huge weekend at Sha Tin. Some Hong Kong racing superstars returning as they plot their path towards International Day in December. We're going to preview a couple of those big races very shortly, as I welcome in my co-host Alex Evers, who's preparing for a bit of a trip to Italy, but we've managed to get some time with him to record this show just before he jumps on a flight to Italy. Looking forward to your trip, Alex?
Looking forward to it. I have to pack still, since I'm not bringing a camera gear. Like it's like a travel trip for shooting and everything like that as much. A lot less camera gear, so
Nice.
different packing, but so excited.
Have you already sort of organized where you're going to be watching Sha Tin and how you're going to be watching Sha Tin from wherever you are on, what would it be, Sunday your time in Italy?
No shots in for me watching this week, and it's going to be replays only. No shots in and no NFL. It's a traditional vacation here.
Okay. All right. Well, you're forgiven, I guess, to take one weekend
No,
off.
that's at least what the wife wants to hear. We'll see how it actually plays out in practicality.
Look, if you're jet lagged and she's asleep or something like that, then
You
why
wake
not?
up at 4 a.m. I haven't even done the math to see what time the races are going to be on over there, but you never know.
Never know. Well, you have been watching, obviously, Wednesday at Happy Valley and last weekend at Sha Tin, because I get these texts from you at certain times of the morning and things like that. Have you got a highlight from the past week?
I think it's David Eustace getting his first win on Wednesday
Yeah.
night. That was pretty awesome. And yeah, the right rider aboard with Zach Burton. Can't go wrong there. But good to see the 32-year-old getting off to a fast start. That's impressive. It's a young guy over there, and to get everything started off and get a win in the first month like that. And he's been knocking at the door too. Really
Yeah.
impressive. So it's just something more to follow. And again, Mark Newnham's been having success. The trainers table is really competitive at the top right now. It's very interesting.
Just 32 years old, so he's definitely got a bright future ahead of him, doesn't it, David? And he, of course, was training plenty of Group One winners in Australia in partnership with Kieran Ma before he came to Hong Kong, including the Melbourne Cup winner Gold Trip. So he's got plenty of talent as well. I think that was just his sixth runner in Hong Kong. So it's only taken him 6 runners to get his first win and breakthrough. That's got to be close to a record, I think, for a full-time trainer. But all his other horses seem to be running well as well. I think he got a couple of seconds and thirds. So, yeah, he's certainly going to be a trainer to follow. He might be able to get himself 20 or 30 wins this year with any luck. And then, like we've seen with Mark Newnham, year 2, he's really taking off after that year of experience.
I think with anything, you just want to hit the ground running and get that confidence going and start feeling good in your barn. The barn staff's going to be feeling good, and the horses feed off that energy. So it's really good for them going forward.
Absolutely. So, yeah, David Eustace getting his first win in Hong Kong. And here's what else has been making news in the world of Hong Kong racing. All right, and star in the making, Ka Ying Rising is on track for next week's Group 2 Premier Bowl handicap after a comfortable win in a trial during the week. He's then likely to have one more run in the Jockey Club Sprint on November 17 before heading to the Group 1 Longines Hong Kong Sprint in early December for International Day. So Ka Ying Rising hasn't raced since that emphatic victory in the Chief Executives Cup when he carried 135 pounds to victory under Zach Burton on opening weekend for the new Hong Kong season. One horse, Ka Ying Rising, won't meet in the Hong Kong Sprint in December. Is going to be the defending champion, Lucky Swayness. The multiple Group 1 winner is back in training, but trainer Manfred Mann said December will just be too soon for the champ to make his return from an injury sustained earlier in the year. So, Alex, a shame that we're not going to see Lucky Swayness on International Day. He's obviously played a big part in it in previous years, so we'll be without his star power. But even without him there, this Hong Kong Sprint is shaping up to be an absolute beauty, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's getting good, and we're getting a little preview too of some horses that could potentially be going there later in the card on Sunday. But it's good to see Lucky Sweetness. They're taking it slow with him, as he had a really tough campaign going from 4 to 5 before his injury. So I'm all for it. As much as I'd love to see him run in that contentious sprint race in December, to do what's best for the horse is always the right thing. And geldings, they can run a long time, as we've seen with horses like Golden 60 who run to 9 years old. So take care of the horse, and hopefully we have him kicking around the sprint division for a couple more years there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Take your time with him, and hopefully we will see Lucky Sweyness for years to come, which would be fantastic. And this weekend, of course, we're going to see a lot more stars who are returning for the track. Traditionally, a lot of the stars return in the Group 2 Sha Tin Trophy handicap, and this year is absolutely no exception, a stacked field. The stepping stone for a lot of these horses towards the big international meeting in December. And as we take a look at the lineup, we've got Group 1 winners Voyage, Bubble, and Beauty Eternal headlining the field, which also includes talents such as Galaxy Patch, Beauty Joy, Straight Aaron. I could go through the whole field, really. The Pride of Iowa, Chang Cheng Glory, is in the field with a very lightweight. Jockey Lyle Hewittson's going to get down to make that lightweight. The Golden Scenery, the only horse with a run this season. Everybody else is first up off the layoff. The Golden Scenery won the Group 3 Celebration Cup at Sha Tin last out. And as we take a look at the speed map, it shows that Chang Cheng Glory might be able to take advantage of his lightweight and go to the lead from post position 8. Beauty Eternal getting the run of the race on his back, and Voyage Bubble sitting outside him. Horses such as Galaxy Patch and Straight Aaron both getting back in the field. Alex, this is an absolute cracker of a race. You can make a case for so many of them. Who do you like?
I mean, you could just write a name down, put it in a hat, and grab it, and you wouldn't get a bad choice there. If you had an auto pick, you could go there. As far as anywhere in the world, pace makes the race, right? And we saw that last week. We talked about that dirt race, and we were all hyped up on pace, and we thought there was 6 horses that were going to go forward, and then eventually one goes forward. They go 28 for the first sectional, and everything out the back that we thought was going to happen doesn't happen. So in a situation like that, here we're looking. There's like no pace in this race, and from what we heard from Purton last season after Beauty Eternal's success against Golden 60, where he went to the front and he was a completely different horse on the front end. Now, granted, probably the heavier ground helped him that day, being by a Star Spangled Banner. And that was the best race I'd seen him run in person. He's just not a horse that I love to trust after the way he ran in the Derby, where he was such a hyped horse going in and he'd had so many disappointments that just to me, he seems like the type that if everything doesn't go his way, he doesn't find a way to win. Whereas some others, maybe that's not the case. But that being said, I don't know if they're going to go forward with Chen Cheng Glory and want to take Beauty Eternal on right out of the barriers like that. But you're in this catch-22 where if you let him go, you're kind of stuck for a second. Just like in the Champions Mile in April too, where it looked like on paper Voyage Bubble was going to go forward and challenge Beauty Eternal on the front end. There would be a little bit of pace, but they're took back on Voyage Bubble. Eternal goes easy lead. The race is over in the first 200 meters of the race. So that being said, I am the biggest heart play guy. I'm a big homer. I love Galaxy Patch, and I'm a big Vincent Ho fan. And he's, at least to me, he's the replacement for Golden 60 coming up. I don't know if he's as good as Golden 60, but that's the horse that I do like the most. Granted, I think pace is going to get him. I'd have him for second in an exacta with Beauty Eternal on top. As much as I just talked myself out of playing Beauty Eternal on top, I just think that he's going to get the lead by himself, and he's a different horse out there. But watch at the 200, if I do have action on this race, I know I'm going to be screaming when something comes flying over the top and gets him. That's just been the way things have been going for me. What do you say?
Well, I was just going to ask you. I mean, if you like Galaxy Patch, you kind of have to like Chang Cheng Glory as well, don't you? I mean, they've been involved in some great jewels of late. Galaxy Patch getting it done in the last couple, won by the most slender of margins, but that super lightweight for Chang Cheng Glory has really got to sort of put him in contention in this particular race against Galaxy Patch. He gets a nice swing in the weights. If you consider that time when he was just defeated a nose by Galaxy Patch, that swing in the weights could have proved the difference.
Yeah, and how I got really worried about how fast they go in this one. Like,
Yeah.
because by that token too, like, if they do go slow, he's gonna have the dream run sitting right off Beauty Eternal. And at the lightweights, and plus Hewitson loves him. Hewitson's good on the front end. That's not a bad pick. You're starting to get me to change what I'm thinking.
Maybe that's in for your trifecta. So Beauty Eternal on top to beat Galaxy Patch and Chang Glory. Is that your trifecta?
No, we're gonna go back. Actually, we're just gonna go with an exacta. We're just gonna go Chen Chen Glory and Galaxy Patch. We're gonna run it back because you know what happens when you change your mind on horses that always get you one way
Yeah.
or another, and as soon as you get on them, what happens? They always burn you. It never fails.
I think you're going to have to box them in a trifecta.
I think that's the play too.
Well, I'm going to stick with Beauty Eternal. I thought his Champions Mile win that you just alluded to, whilst probably did benefit from a little bit of moisture in the track. It was a tenacious win from the front end on that occasion, and while he probably won't get the lead, if he gets a nice run directly behind Chang Cheng Glory, like we saw on the speed map prediction, I think Zach can just, conserve energy and wait to make a late run, really use Chang Cheng Glory as a cart into the race. And I just love the fact I think Zach would have had a number of options in this race. Although, in saying
Yep.
that, he's stuck on Beauty Eternal's back for all 17 of his starts for 9 wins and plenty of placings. I mean, the horse is ultra consistent. So that's I mean a good positive for me that Zach's sticking solid and staying on his back again for start number 18. And yeah, I think obviously a lot of these horses, this is just a stepping stone. They're all going to improve from this race, but for me, Beauty Eternal gets the nod. I still love the two horses that you outlined, Galaxy Patch and Chen Chen Glory. So I'm going to be playing them in my exotics, and perhaps the speed's not going to be there for Straight Aaron, and it's not going to be long enough as well. But I think there's a horse, and now that it's switched stables as well, Straight Aaron, just one to watch going forward. He deserves a big race, Straight Aaron. He's been tenacious, and he's run some big races over the last year. So I've got an eye on him for future races ahead. I think this will just be a little bit too short for him.
I've been all over that horse since the Derby against Beauty Eternal. Those horses 2 years ago. I can't do it anymore. I can't. I love him. He tries hard, but I just don't think he's up to the task of the Grade One types in Hong Kong at this point. And that race too. The other horse that's really interesting, we didn't really hit on him too much, is Voyage Bubble. From the
Mm,
looks of things and from what we've heard, he doesn't really like left-hand turns. So we can toss out the Dubai race where he was compromised by the faller, and you can
yeah,
throw out the Yasuda Kinen. His form, he's got the Romantic Warrior form line. It's just, is he going to be able to first up with 135 pounds with a new jockey? What's that going to look like? I don't know, but he's ultra talented too. So, like you said, there's a million ways to go in this race. Don't think there's a wrong way to go unless you don't pick a winner, but a lot
yeah,
of talent. And I can't imagine that the goal for all of these horses is to win this race. We're looking forward to
yeah.
December and the Grade Ones. So if you like a horse in here and it doesn't necessarily win, I don't think that's the end of the world for them going forward out of this spot.
Yeah. You were there in Japan for the Yasuda Keenan, which Romantic Warrior won, of course, and Voyage Bubble was back in that field. What was the feeling like amongst the team for Voyage Bubble's performance? Did they just put it down to going the wrong direction?
It was like the wrong direction. The weather went. He didn't change leads. Like it just was one of those things where nothing really went their way on the day. But
Yeah,
good on him for trying. Like it's part of the sport. The sport is your horse is faster than the other person's horse, and you go forward and you try to run. So I love to see it. And he's a really nice horse, fun to look. And in fact, leading up to the Yasuda Kanen, he looked incredible. Like his condition was well, he was training well. I do think the left-handed configuration is just a bit much for him. So if he won that race on Sunday, I would not be a bit surprised. And the SCMP, Ricky was just making a comment on the race that it wasn't necessarily the toughest race to come back in. So maybe he feels a little differently than we feel, because this race does look a bit tough to me, but I'm not with the horses every day. I'm sitting behind a keyboard and a camera. So what do I know?
well, another race that I'm really excited for on Saturday night, Sunday morning, North American time is the nightcap race 10, which, as you alluded to before, might end up producing a few runners for the sprint, the Hong Kong sprint in December. In particular, I'm referring to number 6, Wunderbar, who I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to make my best bet on the card. I love the way he returned, led throughout, and won in a Class 3, carrying the top weight on that particular occasion. So he looks to be a rising talent, and I really think he can go on with it here and win second up. But there's plenty of other good horses. He's gonna. This is probably his toughest test to date as well. He's got to take on the likes of Sun Puck Fu, Atala Bigil, Call Me Glorious, Gorgeous Win, and Bottom Up Together, who we saw return as well a couple of weeks ago. What do you make of this race, Alex? Because this is another beauty as well.
I mean, it's very interesting. And I think you start with where Zach Purton ends up because he's ridden a bunch of these horses, right? So him ending up on Wonder Bar probably says all you need to know about that horse, in my opinion.
Mm.
Progressive type for John Size. He looks like he's on his way to being a grade one type sprinter in Hong Kong. But we got some nice horses in here too. Call Me Glorious, Gorgeous Win, to name a few. And then at the bottom end at 12, Bottom Up Together, who finally gets in at a lightweight. He ran with 135 last time with Purton on. He goes to Chadwick, who's been riding well, and he gets a huge weight advantage too in this race. So I don't know, man. This is gonna be it's another race with a lot of speed going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wunderbar has the potential to go to the lead, but then there's going to be Superb Catalyst has got pace. Call Me Glorious as well. Um, yeah, but as we discussed with Tim Carroll the other week, he's talking about Ka Ying Rising potentially being the next superstar in Hong Kong racing, and then we asked him about Wunderbar, who's beaten Ka Ying Rising twice earlier on in the year as well. So we don't really know how good this horse is potentially going to be, but he could be as good as, if not better than Ka Ying Rising. We just don't know at this stage, still so early in their careers. But for me, Wunderbar gets the job done here and just goes on, and it's going to be a sneaky chance in the Hong Kong Sprint later on.
Absolutely. This one too, I find interesting. Atula Bagil, just he's run well first up. Hugh's been riding really well, and he's going to get back a little bit. And if they do go quick early, I think he'll be rattling home late. But I do too as well. I'm a Wonder Bar guy here. I just want to see where he goes. And for me, what's going to be really interesting is to see what the odds do here. I don't know how
Yeah.
short is he going to be? Is he going to be short as he was last time, or are you going to have an opportunity to make a play on him? But other than that, I think that's a lot of the challenging thing with Hong Kong too, is just figuring out like what's your price point and where you're willing to make a stand on some of these horses and how low are you going to go. I think it was last week, like Devano got absolutely hammered down and it was like way too low of a play for me at that point. So I do think if you're betting Hong Kong, it's to have a good market in your mind of where you feel like the lowest price you're willing to take on some of these horses, because favorites do run pretty well there. And if you see Purton on a favorite, the rest of the audience is also probably going to be aboard.
I was just trying to take a peek behind my laptop screen to see the early morning line odds. We don't have morning line odds in Hong Kong, but Sky Racing World, a partner in North America, supplies them 2-1. They have gone up about Wunderbar. It's a bigger field. I don't think he'll be odds on, and 2-1 at those sort of odds, I'd be willing to take a risk as
Yeah.
well. Wouldn't mind something better, but if we're getting 2-1 about Wunderbar, that for me represents decent enough value if we get that on the night.
Yep. And bottom up together with how Devano came back and Ruby Lot came back and ran. It's gonna be he's an interesting horse. I don't know if he's good enough to win here, but he's gonna be one to follow
Yep.
in that race as well.
7-1 on the morning line, courtesy of Sky Racing World for bottom up together. Well, so I think it sounds like we're a little aligned then. Beauty
I think
Eternal
we
into
are.
Wunderbar. Beauty Eternal into Wunderbar. Is that a double?
Yeah, but if Biddy Eternal gets beat, I'm not going to be the slightest bit surprised. I think
Well,
so. It's just interesting though, because these races, like I said, the pace makes race, and with a talented rider like Purton on these horses, you never know what's going to happen.
that's right. Speaking of Purton, looking at the latest jockey standings, he's opened up a 7-win lead now over Huey Bowman. Another treble for Zach at Happy Valley on Wednesday, and he's now got 20 wins. Huey Bowman 13 wins as Zach chases his 8th Hong Kong Jockey Championship, and it looks like we've penciled him down for 2 winners at Sha Tin this weekend with Beauty Eternal and Wunderbar. Alex, thank you very much, sir, for your time, and have an amazing time in Italy. We look forward to catching up with you. Are we going to see you on the show next week, or are you going to take a week off?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I get back Thursday night, so maybe we'll swing something Thursday night or early Friday morning.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you, mate, and thank you, everybody,
Thank you,
for
bud.
watching this episode of the Hong Kong Racing Show. Enjoy Sha Tin this weekend. It should be a fantastic night of racing. And keep following us on Hong Kong Racing North America on X. That's at HK Racing US. And keep looking at the Hong Kong Racing Jockey Club website as well. The Hong Kong Jockey Club website. Fantastic resource for all your free PPs, trials, replays, expert picks, and more. And we'll see you next time on the Hong Kong Racing Show.